Hey friends, welcome. It's a gorgeous morning here in South Florida, so I'm going to make the most of it and get busy working on those free curbside trellis or screens that I picked up the other day, as well as those trellis planters that I picked up from Aldi on Tuesday. And boy, does this area of my backyard need a glow up. You may have a vision for giving your backyard and patio area a glow up too, so come along with me as I get with it and make the most of everything. You may have seen my last video where I glossed up this free curbside baker's rack, and it is giving me so much joy, you guys. And hopefully these other projects will too, but first a whole lot of work. I gave you guys a quick sneak peek of these planters when I brought them home on Tuesday, but I haven't put them together yet because I had to work all week. So Saturday morning, I'm going to get with the program here. But first, I have got to pressure wash so badly, all of these fence sections and the side. And I'm going to start with taking out these ladders and the plywood. And then it'll be on to building those planters, which I'll take you guys along with me so you can see how they come together. So let's get started. I'm an empty nester now, so I'm getting this all done under my own firepower. So I've got rid of the ladders and the plywood. Now it's on to a little bit of weeding and sweeping in this area. I've got to call into my landlord to borrow his pressure washer, and depending on the timing of when I can get a hold of that, meanwhile, I'm going to get to work on these screens. First up, I need to disassemble them. I'm dealing with some rusty hinges and screws. They need sanding, and I've got to peel off this paper. So let's see how much work this takes and how long it takes. I have a feeling it'll be a lot longer than I'm telling myself, but I've got a power drill. That always helps. For saying these hinges and screws were very rusty, they came off surprisingly easy, thank goodness. And so far, that's been the only easy thing about this project. I gotta say, when I brought these screens home, a piece of paper was hanging off of one of them, and I thought, oh, that'll be easy to peel off. But no, just the opposite. This paper, which is sort of like an AC filter consistency, is actually built into the side of the frames, as well as being spray mounted onto the frame rack in the middle. So this is going to take quite a bit of work. Oh boy. And I have been peeling and picking away at these screen papers for a good 30 minutes, and cloud cover has moved in, thank goodness, because it's headed for 85 today, and I am already sweating buckets. I'm only on my second peeling of the screen, and I am starting to think, be careful what you wish for. This is just very tedious. 2 down, 2 to go. Screen number 3 was the easiest out of the bunch, but it still gave me what for. 3 down, 1 to go. Now that I've got the paper off of all of these, it's on to sanding. I bought this sander several years ago, and I rarely bust it out, but when you need it, you need it. Now I'm trying to MacGyver some kind of working surface for sanding these screens. I certainly don't want to do it on my knees on the ground. So I've pulled this table from my pool patio, and this glass table that sits basically in this area on the paver patio. So I'm going to get with it and get to sanding. 4 screens to go. And the framework in the middle is very delicate, so I have to take it fairly easy on that. But it needs sanding because the spray mount where the papers were stuck is goopy and fuzzy. So I did my best on these. Now I've got to get some minor repairs done. This screen was cracked in a corner, so it's going to get some wood glue and a clamp. And Dollar Tree for the win, because I always have a little bottle of wood glue on hand. And I got the clamps from Dollar Tree as well. Highly recommend, automotive section. And now this screen has the sort of inner frame trying to pop out from the main frame. So that needs some wood glue and a few clamps as well. And throw these clamps on there. Let these dry while I get with spraying the 2 that aren't broken. So the paper picking and sanding took a couple of hours, you guys. Thank goodness that's done. My landlord is heading over in about a half hour to bring me the pressure washer. Meanwhile, I am going to use one of these screens that didn't need repair to get an eyeball measurement. I was hoping they were as long as the garden bed, but just a couple inches shy on each side, darn it. I'm planning to mount the screens, one on each end. They are very tall. And I was hoping to be able to put a screen across the top to make sort of an arch, if you will. But if I'm going to attempt that, I'll have to jimmy rig something. We'll see how it goes. But I will be drilling holes and mounting these on the side of the bed. I'll do at least that much. And down the road, I'll finish MacGyvering how I want to ultimately end up with these over here. But the window being in the middle is kind of a factor. So if I were to put something across the top, it'd kind of cut the window off in a weird way. So I don't know. We'll see. More thinking and MacGyvering on this. And for anyone who's never been to Florida, if you see skittering in my videos, it's a gecko. We have a lot of geckos. So last year I bought these little wooden poles thinking I'd make a trellis with some fishing twine. Didn't get around to it, but I could use these to brace my trellises at the garden box, so that may happen. While I'm waiting on that pressure washer, I'm going to spray this screen. I've got two that didn't need any glue, and boy are there a lot of crevices that need painting. Man, oh man, and it is so hot out here. I am ready for a lunch break. So I'm heading inside and I am making myself a well-earned margarita. I mean, it is Saturday, 3 o'clock. I'm also going to do some use it up and make the most of some leftover chicken fajitas that I had made. Those are heating up in the microwave. But my number one priority is this margarita. So I'm going to toss in an orange slice and a lime. And let me tell you, nothing has ever tasted so good as this margarita. Browning some tortillas real quickly, and I've got some sour cream that expired in February, so it's getting the look, smell, test. Yeah, it's passing. So I'm going to smear some of that on the torts, put some of this chicken fajita meat on there. I am so thirsty, so hungry, just can't wait. I've earned every calorie, you guys, and I'm going to enjoy every single bite. A little cheese. And I think that's all these need because, the fajitas already have a ton of seasoning and onions and peppers, so I don't need any salsa. I'm going to sit down and enjoy this before I head back out. Now let's take a look at these wooden planters with trellis, which I'm sure everyone is here to have a look-see. This is what it looks like when you open the box. There are just a few parts, and I thought I'd show you guys how these can come together. Even if you have to put these together on your own, it's doable. First, let's take a look at these screws, because I put one together, and now I know the trick. So there are 4 long ones, 4 medium, and 4 shorter, and you want to start with the 4 long ones. There are 2 parts to the trellis. There's the top part. You're going to set that aside, and now here's the bottom part. And the solid portion is the backside of the wooden planter bed. And you'll want the recessed portion of the planter box to be facing outward. So get yourself oriented on that. And they've pre-drilled holes in the planter trellis. It's not on these smaller portions of the planter box. So what you want to look for here, of course, the outer side is that recess, and you're going to put that as a base to hold up this back of the trellis. And you want to make sure that you orient it so that ledge is on the bottom. And you're going to line up the edges of that side of the planter box with that ledge on the inside. And another quick tip here, you don't want this vertically, you want it horizontal as far as the outer ledges go, so they all line up aesthetically. If you're building these on your own, this is the best way to go at it, I found. So now you're going to put that other short side underneath, so you have sort of a table, if you will, and make sure you're all lined up. And then you're going to start putting your screws in. If you had an extra set of hands, these would really be a breeze to put together, but even on your own, they're very simple. I do highly recommend using a power drill. And I will say here that this is lightweight wood, so as you're screwing things together, don't go too hard with trying to drill that screw in too far. Just flush with the wood. So you'll be using all 4 of the long screws to get this bottom portion of the trellis box mounted onto the side parts of the planter. And after that, it's a breeze. Now you're going to get the front panel and orient that as discussed above. And you'll be using the medium screws here, 1 on each corner, to get this mounted on. And because this trellis effectively has 4 little feet, you want to make sure that those long vertical strips all line up really well before you put your screws in. That way your trellis won't wobble when you're finished. This took me about 5-6 minutes. And the last piece of putting this trellis planter together is the top portion. And as you can see, there are sort of L's cut out of each end. You're just going to fit those together. If there is ever a place where a part is going to break off, this would probably be the most likely area. So be very careful when you're holding these that you're not applying pressure in the wrong spot. There are 2 screws on each side, which are the shortest screws. And then you're done. Now all you need to do is place the bottom of the planter box inside the box, and there's a ledge on each side that it sits on. So that's simple enough. They come with these plastic liners that already have a couple drain holes in them. So you're just going to fold that into the box like you would a trash can. And now you're ready to fill them with soil and plants. Here's a quick look at all 3 built so you can get an idea of the uniformity. I am so happy with these for $20, right? Now on to the biggest job of the day. I mean, what's the point of putting pretty trellises up against an ugly fence? But before I get started pressure washing, I want to spray the fence down with a bleach and water solution. I'm using a pump that I already had on hand for my garden. I'm going to give this a good spray down, and then we'll break out that pressure washer. And the only catch is I've never used a pressure washer before. My landlord and I have been friends for 20 years, and he is a total sweetheart. He's also very mechanically inclined, which I am not. So he knew to give me really good instructions before he turned me loose. And now I'm going to get on with it. And for anyone who has never pressure washed before, it's more intense than it looks. It takes quite a bit of muscle to keep that hose under control. It's definitely not my favorite outdoor chore, that's for sure. But I got her done, so I'm high-fiving myself on crossing that task off my list. Don't pressure wash unless you like to get dirty. And I mean dirty from head to toe. I'm gonna need at least 2 showers. I got her done, guys. I don't think I've ever been this filthy in my life. But my fence and my sidewalk look a whole lot better. And look, the sun's even giving it a little bling. It took me 3.5 hours to do this section of fence and that little bit of sidewalk. It's now 7 o'clock. I'm filthy, I'm exhausted, so I'll be finishing this project up tomorrow, putting the trellis planters out with plants in them. It's Sunday, April 27th, and 7 o'clock in the morning, and boy, is it a beautiful morning. 67 degrees, just so nice out here. And what's making it extra nice is waking up and seeing this gorgeous, new fence that I worked so hard on yesterday. Now I get to decide where to put my trellis planters. These sections are, 6 feet apart, so I'm thinking I might put 1, 2, 3. If I put one there, I can see it from long view in my kitchen, out my laundry room when that door is open during nice weather. I definitely don't want anything in that last section because I go in and out that gate all the time for my morning walks. I bought 3 trellises, and as you can see, it was really slow to drain there.
So because that's there, that sort of concludes my deciding, I guess. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, and I guess right in the middle. So I'm gonna get on it while the sun's still behind the garage. Two things about these trellises. Only $20. So there's a few areas that could use a little tweaking, like there's a little extra. This was not from anything I did. This came built this way. I don't know that I can do anything about that. I don't think it really matters. But this particular slat has some really rough pieces. So I'm gonna give that a sanding. You know, for $20, I am not going to complain. Now this one, out of all of these, is the only one that came with a true flaw, in my opinion. So I guess the other point is when you're putting these together, you have an option which way this top portion faces, but the bottom one you don't. It comes built in. Well, if you can see here, I did not add that wood filler in what was probably, you know, a knot hole. So not the end of the world. At least they were smart enough to put it on the back. My vining plant grows up, you won't notice it, hopefully. And then another point about these beds, which a viewer kindly mentioned, somewhere in the instructions, which I did not read thoroughly, it says these are very lightweight wood that won't hold up sun and being out in the weather. And I was like, what? They're made for outdoors. She said that she researched it because she plans to grow vegetables in hers like I do with the green beans or sweet potatoes. Linseed oil preserves wood and is not harmful to humans. So I bought some on Amazon, and I am going to brush my beds with that before I fill the boxes with dirt. So linseed oil kind of smells like a cross between stain and maybe sesame oil. This Amazon, I paid about $10 for it. It came in one day, and I chose to get just 8.5 ounces because I don't plan to do any other projects that need treating of the wood. So hopefully this will be enough to do the 3 beds. I started with about half a bottle. I'm gonna go get busy before the sun comes up. So I have 2 covered in linseed oil, and now I'm completely out of oil. That was an 8.5 ounce bottle, and here's what they look like stained with linseed versus raw. And I gotta say, I really like the way they look once you get the linseed oil on there. Funny how it exactly matches my newly pressure washed fence. But that's nice, it kind of blends in. When I first bought these, I debated about whether I'd paint them, and I am so thankful that my viewer did my legwork for me and put me onto that linseed oil. But here we have Mr. Raw Trellis, and I am not going to buy more linseed oil. First of all, I don't want to wait on it. My local Home Depot doesn't carry it. My local Walmart doesn't carry it. So this guy is going to get some olive oil. Not that I'm a perfectionist by any means. You know, why not give it a try, right? What's it gonna hurt? So I'm gonna add about, I guess, a teaspoon. Give this a stir. I hope it doesn't just really screw things up. But, you know, $20 trellis. That's a lot closer to the linseed oil color, maybe just slightly darker. I'm glad I didn't add any more than I did. And that's about maybe 1/3 cup of oil. So let's go see how this turns out. So I've got all 3 trellises stained, and it is now almost 11 o'clock, you guys. I want to get these liners in here and the soil in and my little marigolds planted so I can get on to hopefully getting this video up before the end of the day.
and maybe a smidge of relaxing before my weekend is over.
All right, so I've got my planter beds filled with soil here. And I debated about cutting the liner off with scissors, but then I decided, this edge is going to constantly be getting watered, right? So I wanted to reinforce that as much as I could, and I decided the smart thing to do would be to just fold that liner down and tuck it in. I picked up these marigolds 2 weekends ago from Walmart, and their marigolds were looking really, really rough. I managed to get these to bounce back. So this is all I've got to work with for now. So I think that's about 6 little mini pots in there. So 2 to a planter for now. And then in the back of those, I'm going to plant some green beans. These are both Kentucky Wonder pole beans. One package is from Dollar Tree, the other is from Walmart, so we'll see how they do. Well, here she is, the finished project. I really, really love this. And of course, once those green bean vines get going, it will be even more fun to look over here. Now it's time to water these in. And then get to relaxing because, oh my, I have so earned it. Hopefully these marigolds hold up well to the hot sun, because this area is going to get probably 10 hours of sun a day, because it's, as you can see, it's about 10 o'clock now. The sun's kicking in. And until about 5 o'clock, it'll be coming over the house again. I've been following a couple of channels that I just love. I'll put their links down below. And they do a lot of thrift shopping for gardening artwork, so to speak. And that was really inspiring to me. So I will be on the hunt for some things that are metal or ceramic, something along those lines that I can hang on this fence. I don't want to go too, cluttered looking, but I do think it needs a little something over here now that I've cleaned it up. And a couple of years ago, another free curbside pickup, I found these metal grates, and I think they were meant to be like a fireplace decorative grate, and they have these legs on them. I thought when I picked them up I might be able to jimmy rig them into some kind of a trellis, but that just I don't think is going to work because they're heavy. And I thought, well, maybe I can paint them and I can use them on these fences, but then the length doesn't quite work, and I'd forgotten they had these legs on them, so that's a no-go. I think these are probably just going to go out to the street for the guys who like to run around picking up metal junk. But look for an upcoming video where I go thrift shopping for some fence artwork. And here's a look at the view from when you come in the back gate. So fun. And a view from the side door. So I've been painting trellises in between all the other doings this weekend. I still have another one to go. But you guys, my weekends are so short since I work full time. So the trellis project will have to get finished next weekend. So come back for that video. Thank you all for stopping by today. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you on the next one.